Hello and welcome to the Not Quite Tonight Show Election Night Special. I'm your host Luke Manus. I have a homework assignment due in 4 hours and I haven't even started. It's been 7 months since the last installment of this show, so you might be wondering where I've been. Well, basically doing this. It's an understatement to say that this year has completely shattered my sense of reality, but the point is I'm back and better than ever. And I can juggle now. Before we get into the news about the election, let's discuss some other current events, shall we? The coronavirus pandemic has obviously dominated not only the news this year, but our lives in general. And all I gotta say is, I'm still very nervous to be around people. Although I guess coronavirus does have its silver linings. I mean, COVID has made all other illnesses seem minor. For instance, hey babe, I think you should probably go to the doctor and get tested.
Get tested? Oh my god, why?
Because
no!
I think I have chlamydia.
Oh, thank God.
Despite a higher number of coronavirus cases than when we originally shut down in March, children in nearly every state in the country have returned to in-person school. This has raised concerns among many parents concerned for their child's health, and while I haven't necessarily looked into it, I'm sure they're doing fine. In other news, the Make-A-Wish Foundation has recently filed for bankruptcy. In entertainment news, there is no entertainment news. Almost every film slated to release in theaters this year has either been transferred to a streaming service or pushed back indefinitely due to the coronavirus pandemic. Of course, with award season coming up, many are unsure how the limited releases will affect the Oscars. Personally, my money's on Sonic the Hedgehog for Best Picture, although most cinephiles are leaning more towards Impractical Jokers the movie, so we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. The Social Dilemma, a new documentary on Netflix, dives into the dangers of social media, specifically how it can become incredibly addictive. I know that this is true because the first thing I did after finishing the documentary was tweet about it. And yes, the irony was completely lost on me. Follow my Twitter though. Protests and riots have emerged in Philadelphia following the murder of 27-year-old African-American Walter Wallace Jr. by police last Monday. Many have expressed disbelief to the civil unrest in Philly, stating that the community is better than this. But I have to ask, really? I mean, I don't want to make assumptions, but the first episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is literally titled, "The Gang Gets Racist." NASA recently announced that they have evidence of a WAP in our atmosphere. That is a wet-ass planetoid. That's right, the moon has water on it. This scientific development has given new validity to the phrase, Amy Coney Barrett is drier than the surface of the moon. If you are blissfully unaware, Amy Coney Barrett is Donald Trump's most recent Supreme Court nominee that has been criticized due to her conservative views, lack of experience, and overall rush confirmation following the tragic loss of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If you're not political, you might remember Justice Ginsburg as what your lesbian friend dressed up as for Halloween last year. Barrett's biggest controversy surrounds her opposition to Roe v. Wade, the historic Supreme Court case that stated that the Constitution protects a pregnant woman's right to choose to have an abortion without excessive government control. Because of this, her recent confirmation has worried many concerned citizens, specifically women and male senators that are currently cheating on their wives. I know this really isn't my place, but I just don't understand why a woman would want to take away rights regarding women's autonomy over their own healthcare. To me, that sounds like going against your own interests. I mean, that'd be like if Pixar made one of their human characters anything that wasn't a big-nosed, curly-haired, lanky guy. Or if Leonardo DiCaprio changed his Tinder preferences from 18 to 25 to anything resembling his own age. Or, I don't know, Donald Trump paying more in taxes to the Chinese government than the United States is. Wait, what? Despite a record number of cases in the United States, a recent press release from the White House listed ending the COVID-19 pandemic among Donald Trump's first-term accomplishments. And honestly, I can't even be upset anymore. I mean, I've been there. Not to the extent of like 200,000 deaths, right? But I've disregarded writing a paper for a class before, and when the teacher got on to me, I was just like, yo, That paper was one of my greatest accomplishments. Did you lose it? Until they cave and give me an A. Plus, Donald Trump and I are both straight men, and gaslighting is simply in our blood. And now this brings us to the news about the 2020 presidential election, the highly contentious race between the live-action Heat Miser and Snow Miser and their vice presidential candidates, the robot from Scooby-Doo and Maya Rudolph. Now, many of you might be asking, Luke, why are you qualified to talk about the election? And to that I say, just check out my grade in my political science class, the 411 on election 2020. That, my friends, is an A-. Hashtag flex, hashtag humblebrag, hashtag I really need to do my homework. Dozens of states across the country have already been experiencing record numbers of voter turnout through mail-in and in-person early voting. It is very likely that due to the amount of mail-in votes, we might not know who won the election until days later. Don't fear though, normally this is the case, but analysts are simply able to gauge who won based on the number of votes cast versus the number of votes already counted. However, this year that seems statistically unlikely. This is terrifying, of course, because it could lead to preemptive declarations of who won, or votes not being counted, or just general civil unrest. But it's also great because the longer we don't know who won the election, the longer this video stays relevant. So, good for me. However, I know a lot of you are dying to know who will win, so I have a very special guest with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please bring your hands together for myself the day after we know the election results. Hey man, thanks for coming out. So, Luke, how are you feeling about everything?
I don't know. I mean, disregarding who won, I'm just really worried about the fate of our country.
I totally get it. Now, we talked before the show, but it just so happens that the guy who won was who the person watching this voted for, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Congratulations, I guess.
And you know, good for you. I mean, that other guy was like so old and senile. Plus, have you heard of his sexual assault allegations? I mean, oof. Besides, I mean, this other guy, the guy that didn't win, he's had every opportunity to show us exactly who he is in the White House. And what has he done, you know? Wow, that is as insightful as it is vague. Well, you know me. All talk and no substance. Just like the president. Hey, before you go, can I ask you a question? Do we ever do the homework assignment that I'm putting off right now?
Oh, definitely not. Just gaslight the teacher until she gives you an A.
Right. Well, that's our show. Be sure to tune in next time when the Second Civil War has inevitably started. Please, if you haven't already, vote. I'm going to supply links in the description to help you figure out how to vote if you haven't already. Also, while you're down there will be links to some great charities if you feel so inclined to donate. Remember to treat people with kindness, look both ways before you cross the street, and as always, respect women.